Okay, hi everyone, it's Roger here.
Yeah.
I have got my screen sharing on, so there is a good chance if you're on at the moment, you should see my screen. And we also have the opportunity, if there are particular questions that you want to be asking, that you can be typing in your questions, and I will be getting them via Suraj as well, who's basically moderating this call. So first things first, we have got a very interesting call ahead for a number of reasons. The first is that we have got the competition results, which are coming out a little later, with $100,000 from the short story competition, and thank you to everyone who was part of that. The second thing, which is kind of interesting, is as you all know, we have an interview today with Yanik Silva. What's most interesting about that is at this very moment, Yanik is still not online. So given that we actually did just confirm with him just a couple of hours ago that everything was all systems go, at this very moment, he doesn't appear to be around. Now, by the way, just so that everyone knows, if you've been following the news, you might have seen that someone same age as us, just turned 40, in fact, a person called Elon Musk, you may or may not have heard about. He was one of the founders of PayPal. He just this morning launched his private rocket, which is called the Falcon 9. He basically runs something called SpaceX, and it's the very, very first private rocket ever to take off from planet Earth on its way to the space station. And right now it's up there in orbit somewhere on its way to the space station. And he basically, this was history in the making, and it was actually meant to happen on the weekend, but it got aborted at the very, very last moment. However, after the abort, because there was a couple of technical issues, it did kind of come around again, and here we are a couple of days later, and it is on its way now. So that's a kind of roundabout way of saying that even the biggest and best laid plans sometimes go a bit awry. And while we don't have Yanik Silva at this point with us, he's in orbit somewhere, and there's a very good chance, hopefully, that during this call, he's going to find his way through whatever technical difficulties he has and get on the call. In the meantime, I'm going to make sure that I make this call as valuable as possible to everyone who's on it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover a number of different things about Yanik so that when he does get on this call, if he does get on this call, then at that very moment we're going to kind of pick it up running. I'm also going to be going through a number of things that are happening in the news right now. And for those of you who are coming along for our US events that are taking place for Fast Forward, or those of you who are coming along for the ones we're running later in the UK, in Africa, and we're kind of excited because we've just had some dates that have just popped up also for Taiwan and potentially Japan this year as well. So, so a lot more happening in Asia right now as well. What I'll be doing is giving you some of the very, very latest updates that have been taking place. So, if you've been hearing things lately about what's been going on with the Facebook IPO, if you've been watching recently what's been happening with the stock markets in America, and how it all relates with what's going on in the rest of the world, in Asia, in Europe, I'd like to be able to share some insights on that. And if there are particular questions you might have about how to relate that to your business today, then you're going to have the opportunity to do that as well. So we will take some of the questions a little later as well. So like I said, if you have any questions, you can post them on there. Okay, a couple of things I just want to mention. You'll see on the screen that there is a website at the bottom, which is fastforwardyourbusiness.net. So this is what happens when you go to this. There'll be a little delay between me speaking and it showing up on your page, but it probably should have switched at about this point to this page. And what's on this page, fastforwardyourbusiness.net, is first of all the slides that I'm actually running through right now. You can follow them on this page. If you're kind of a person that gets impatient and wants to click forward or backwards, you can also do that too. So the webinar slides are on this page, fastforwardyourbusiness.net. You're also going to find on this page the very, very latest videos that have come just from the Australia tour we just ran on the top 10 trends in business. So you can go along and actually watch those after this call as well. You will find on this page all of the different links to everything from Pinterest to Facebook to Twitter and so on. That gives you a very, very easy, simple way to get to it. And what you'll also see is that if you are in the US, we are giving away 50 complimentary tickets for our events in Los Angeles or Miami, that if you jump on and pick up one of those tickets, then I'll be seeing you at one of those events. I also just want to share at this point that we're kind of excited, we're very excited that we have some brilliant change makers at those events. Yanik is just confirming his schedule to be at the Miami event, and he'll be joined by one of my great friends who happens to be in Bali right now, Topher Morrison, who's one of our head coaches for Wealth Dynamics and also a brilliant speaker on how to generate a brilliant business within speaking. And we also have Sean Campbell, who's going to be joining us, who has built a very large business around publishing and what he's doing right now to shift it onto the online publishing model. He's taken over 1,000 people, his own staff, through Wealth Dynamics within America, and has some brilliant success stories to tell about that. Also in LA, my good friend Mark Victor Hansen is going to be joining us on stage there, which I'm very excited about because I haven't seen him for several years because I just haven't been in the US. This is the first event we're running there for a long time. And we're also going to have someone you may have heard of that you can find on Facebook as well. His name is Nick O'Neill, and he's very well known with hundreds of thousands of followers because one of his first ventures, which was called allfacebook.com, which is a blog which started at the very beginning of Facebook. He built it, he sold it for a good chunk of money, and he's now onto his next project, which is a global iPhone app that he's developing. So he's going to be there talking about his adventures and what he's been up to. And then we also have got a number of people who are doing some brilliant work in America and also building into China right now. They're working with Money in You that you might have heard of. And we have someone, Domingo Silva, who has built somewhere in the region of 4 or 5 different $30, $50 million businesses. He's raised over $200 million personally himself as well for fast growth businesses. And he's going to be joining me on the stage as well to share his stories too. So by the way, even if you're not in the US, you can join us for those as well by coming on board our membership program. We have got this platinum membership that we're opening up for the first 50 on our pre-launch special. There's $33 a month to come on board and get all the live streaming and to get all my latest books that are coming out. And there's a whole bunch of information. You can see it all here. And if that takes your fancy and you can really see yourself using all the tools we're going to talk about on this call on an ongoing basis, just simply go there, click on it, sign up, and you're going to be getting all the very latest in terms of what I'm going to be sharing in the coming months, both live casts of these different events we're running, and also you're going to have my latest books coming out. My first book, which is the 8 Paths, that's going to be coming out in this coming month, and you'll be the first to be getting that as well. So this is all the information which is on here, and there's also a free download you can come to here as well. So that's it. You can get on that while we're actually on the call here, and that is, like I said, fastforwardyourbusiness.net. Second thing I'd like to share with you is that we also have got a hashtag here if you're on Twitter. So the hashtag, which I'm just going to click on right now, which you should see, is simply #FFYB, which stands for Fast Forward Your Business. So if you click if you put any messages on FFYB and go search for that as a hashtag on Twitter, then anyone else who's on this call who happens to be posting any information or any news, then you can go and see who else is on the call and connect up with them via Twitter as well. Obviously, you can also connect with me, and you'll see on my Twitter, which is right here, which will come up on your screen in a moment, I've actually just posted a message, webinar with Yanik Silva, starting in 50 minutes, and it's got the hashtag on there as well. And you can connect with me, and obviously you can connect with Yanik as well. So if his technical problems persist, then we can still be following on a conversation afterwards as well. So that's basically it in terms of the preparation. One website, one hashtag, and now we're going to get rolling and get into this. So first of all, let me start by telling you why I invited Yanik for this webinar, because our last webinar was with Evan Pagan. And as if you joined us in that webinar, you would have heard that Evan, while he started in internet marketing, and he really started at the time when everyone was looking for the magic bullet on whatever it happens to be. A lot of Evan's work was based on how to date more successfully or how to generate more income online more successfully. And those were the days when those kind of things you had to go to someone who had been there and done it already to get that information. Now we know today that's not the truth anymore. I mean, if someone like Evan was to go out and try and do those same things today, he simply wouldn't be successful. And it's because today there are many, many different ways already that we can go about building our business globally without having to go and subscribe to someone who's going to kind of give us the secrets as to how it's going to work. Yanik took a very similar approach, which in the early days, Yanik also was very involved within internet marketing as it was originally, which is where everyone was using squeeze pages, landing pages. Everyone had some kind of information product. And if you're still doing any of those things, you know already, you'd be experiencing already the fact that those ways of doing things even 5 years ago are outdated already. And so you say, well, then what are the people who were doing those? What are they doing today? So Evan Pagan isn't doing any of that anymore. In fact, what he's doing is he's spending his time more talking about relationships, because he's now in a relationship based in Miami, and as of today, he's actually in Vegas running a program which is all about relationships, and he's not even doing it online anymore. And he's spending most of his time, why is he doing it in Vegas? Because he's spending most of his time now in the West Coast using his money instead to invest in technology startups and companies that he can then consult with, he can mentor with, and from that higher level mentoring, be able to find smarter ways for him to be able to unlock value and then also leverage his own value too. Yanik is doing very, very similar. So here's a couple of sites with Yanik. And the first one that I've got here is really where Yanik got started. So this is the yaniksilver.com site. And on the yaniksilver.com site, you'll see that he has his book here, 34 Rules for Maverick Entrepreneurs. He's got a second book that is just coming out right now, which is Maverick Entrepreneur Startup. And we'll send information on that out to you as well. But basically, Yanik has taken an approach which is it's all about your entire lifestyle. I know that many of you already are totally subscribed to that concept that really building a global business today is more than simply trying to find a global market. I define a global business as one in which you can learn from everywhere and you can live from anywhere. So just take those two basics. It doesn't say anything about your market. You know, you could have a market still which is in your hometown. You could have a market which is just your country, and you could still be global. In the same way that right now, today, I'm going to be going up to Vision Village, which is our resort, and it's a location, it's a resort, it's in Bali, but it's a global business rather than a local one, because the way we've built it has been by learning from everywhere. We've gone out and looked at resort retreats all around the world and seeing what is the right one for us to be able to build our workshops. And then at the same time, we can run it from anywhere. So even though the resort is there, you know, we can travel around the world and know, because of the way we've set up the systems and the way we've got our reporting structures in place, that we can see how the resort is doing, what we need to do to improve it, you know, where the metrics or the KPIs of it aren't up to scratch, and what we need to focus at to ensure that it continues successfully from anywhere in the world. So that gives you that freedom to be able to be thinking far bigger, and also at the same time to not be stuck with a particular economy or even a particular office you need to show up in every day. So yeah, that's Yanik's concept of the Maverick Entrepreneur, which is that you have enough time to be able to get out there, enjoy life, and in the experience of enjoying life, meet great people, and actually do more work through your enjoyment or through the fun that you're having than you would if you're stuck in an office. And the concept of Maverick Entrepreneur, he then built into this place here that I'm giving you, which is called Underground Online Seminar, and he launched this 8 years ago. And as you see here with the online seminar, this is his chance to meet with great people that he admires, have them come and speak to the people that are in his group. And as you can see here, we've got people like Tim Ferriss, Tony Say from Zappos, and a series of different people here, Darren Rouse, people like Ted Leonsis and Jessica Jackley, who I wrote about in my recent Fast Forward book. And all these different people are people that have come and spoken at his seminar specifically to people who are out there with $1 million online businesses already. So that gives, again, him a chance to meet with the people that he wants to meet with. And what Yanik has done is taken this concept of just running one event a year, which he can manage, and he's then also taken it one step further, which is basically going this concept of the Maverick 1000. Basically, he set up the Underground Online Seminar as a way to be able to once a year connect with the people he wanted to, which is kind of very similar to what I'm doing with Fast Forward, having a chance to once a year go to the countries where I'd love to connect with the right people. And then what he then has done is created his Maverick 1000, which is fundamentally a group of people that just meet and network, have fun, share stories 3 times a year. I've just joined his Maverick 1000 as well, so that when I'm in America, I'm going to be connecting with different people in his group, and already as a result of that, because we've got our own Facebook group, and because of the reach that he's already created over the last couple of years, it means that I get to meet some great people that I haven't had a chance to meet with before, and again share different experiences too. So that's the path that Yanik has gone down, and it's one that we're seeing increasingly more and more, that those who may have at one point been focused at marketing to a market, which is really how internet marketing was. It's no longer even about marketing anymore. because the marketing tool market is assuming there's a group of people out there that you're looking to message and market automatically to in a way that they're going to then want to buy from you, as opposed to what's really happening nowadays that we all see, which is that we're not tending to buy from someone who's pushing something towards us. We're much more likely to buy as a result of someone somewhere recommending something or simply being involved in something that we want to be involved in as well. And I want to share a concept at this point with everybody, which for me is one of the most important concepts if you're looking to turn your business from a local business to a global business. And it's the concept of something called gold dust. So what is gold dust? So the concept of gold dust is the idea that every business has something within it that if you were to sprinkle it, could reach the world. The reason that most of us, when we have a business that we have to work really, really hard in and still not get the same kind of traction or same kind of attraction that others might do with their business, is simply because we have not yet identified what is it in our business which is the true gold dust. So you say, well, how do you define gold dust? Is it the product? Is it the value? Is it the service? No, actually, it's more than that. You say, is gold dust the culture? No, it's more than that as well. Gold dust is defined by three things. So the first step of something which is gold dust is this something which has global value. So take, for example, Apple with the iPhone. All right, they've created something with global value, which already is in, which has the ability to go into multiple countries. But where they have to tailor it for different countries, they will. If you take gold dust, someone who's got a training company, it's their ability to be able to take whatever it is that they're training in and saying, how can this be of value so that it attracts others in other countries, not just my own. And that first step, which is something that has global value, for most of us, because we haven't asked ourselves that question, what is it that I have which is of global value? Because we haven't asked that, we're constantly stuck with a market which is just our own. Now you could say, well, that's clearly not enough, because you could have something of global value, but you've got to work really hard to get it out there. So the second thing, which is really important, is that it must be something which you can scale profitably. And when I say scale profitably, it means that others can actually take it and make money from it and grow it. And the third one is the most important part of all, which is that you can do it while it's taking none of your time. Now you might think, oh, okay, well, I know that anything I've got right now, especially if it's a service, it takes my time. Well, you know, within Waft Dynamics, for example, you know, we've got a tool there which doesn't take any of my time for it to be scalable profitably and for it also to be of value in different countries. And we'll go to the effort of even make sure that we have a Japanese version and a Chinese version, but we're still using the same scalability in the way that we'll have our country manager who look after it, and in a way we'll make sure that it's still done, all automated, in a way that we don't have to be in the middle of it all, creating more work for ourselves as well. So it was by design. You know, we could easily have created something which would have taken a huge amount of our own maintenance, which would have been very difficult to scale. But by saying, actually, if it's going to be gold dust, it has to focus at these three things, and it has to be able to have these three criteria in place. Then every single one of us has within our business something that you could pull out of it, which you say, this is something which, number one, does have global value, or that by just tweaking it allows it to have global value. Number two, it is something which, by me being able to scale profitably, by setting up this structure for me to do that, allows it to now to spread all around the world. And thirdly, here's the things I need to automate within this delivery of this product or service, which automatically allows me also to ensure that it's not taking up my time as well. So those three things, when you put them together, you'll find again and again, you can look at anyone who's got a global business or one that seems to be growing really fast without them putting much effort into it. And the reason that's happening is because they put the effort in at the beginning to design the gold dust to make sure that it could sprinkle and scale all around the world. And for those who don't put that time and effort in the beginning, you spend all your time putting effort into either, number one, having to keep on modifying value as time goes on, or number two, having to be the person in there trying to scale it yourself, or number three, even if you have other people out there who are partnering with you, it's still taking all your time to manage those partnerships and to get involved in all, which means you end up getting stuck because you think, well, I've got to this size, but I had no more time left. And so the only way for me to grow is for me to die. And as a result of that, I've already got to the largest size I can actually hold on to or manage myself. When you take these three steps, then you totally, all those issues disappear. And more importantly, it gives you the time back to be able to do things that you really want. So this is all about designing a global business from day one. And frankly, when you do that, a global business becomes a whole lot easier than a local business. So Yanik, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Roger. I don't know if you can hear me. Oh, yeah, it looks like I am on. Okay.
Yeah, you're here.
All right. Sorry about that. I've been late before, but never 25 minutes late here. I totally apologize. I didn't set an alarm for tonight. It's nighttime over here.
Well, I told everyone at the beginning the story of Elon Musk and how he was a couple of days late with his SpaceX launch, but at the end he still got there. So 25 minutes isn't so
Yeah,
bad.
no, that's pretty bad, and I apologize, and I'll definitely make it up to to your followers here and the people that are on the line. I'd love to make it up, but and I'd also happy to stay later or whatever you think makes sense. So I'm ready to go now.
Hey, no problem. Well, look, I've been basically just I've given everyone already a bit of a background. You might be able to see, maybe or maybe not. Can you see my screen at the moment?
Yeah, I can see it. Yep.
Okay, so I've just been telling people uh, about yourself. I've been telling people about your path you took with the online seminar, underground online seminar, and I've just been giving a distinction around the scalability of global businesses and the condition of something I call gold dust, which is number one, the ability to ensure that you have something which is of global value so that it can scale. Number two, that it is profitable when you do scale it. And number three, the most important part is it takes none of your time to do it. And those three elements that, again and again, different people find different ways to do it. And I was sharing also just in terms of your path, how you're really getting a lot of value by connecting up with people out there that are constantly learning and growing, and how you built your Maverick 1000 to be able to achieve that and make that happen. I'd love it if you could add, your part in terms of what you're seeing as the biggest distinctions right now that you're getting in the way that you're going about building, building your own vision of what you look to be achieving with Mavericks right now.
Sure. And let me just echo a little bit about what you were talking about, Roger, about the global universal scalability. And I saw that firsthand. Like a lot of people may have businesses, but they really have a job. And I saw it really firsthand with my father. And my dad is one of my entrepreneurial heroes, and because he came to this country in the U.S. 1976 when I was 2.5 years old, 3 years old from Russia, and kind of like one of those immigrant success stories, comes with $256 in his pocket, doesn't really speak much English and so forth, but he ended up building, like a small, about $3-4 million medical equipment sales and service company. But I watched him grow it, and and that's where I learned a lot of my business sort of first chops. But I watched him grow it, and he was there. He liked working, but he was there Saturdays and Sundays, and it was only he would give up on vacations and have someone else run it, but it wasn't sustainable. Like he'd come back and have a bunch of things to do, and so it really wasn't. There wasn't that many systems around that. There wasn't anything that he could really walk away from that much. Now he built himself a very comfortable lifestyle then and a great business. So he did a lot of right things there. But I like what you were talking about, the universality and the massive global leverage. And so the very first time that I did that was taking a product that I started getting really good at marketing when I was working with my dad. And my first clients were doctors because that's who I sold to all the time and talked to them. And they wanted help with getting more patients. And I started working with them one-on-one, just sort of consulting with them, writing some letters for a few of them. And pretty quickly I realized that there's not much leverage there, obviously. And so what we did is I packaged up everything that I was doing and put it into a $900 manual teaching, at that point, dermatologists how to get more cosmetic patients. And that was the very first time that I really learned about that concept. And that went on to be my first sort of six-figure business that I ran for a lot of the time, basically underneath my desk in my dad's office. And that's sort of how I got started and how I learned about that concept. So,
So that's so
long, long.
that what was that product at that point?
It's something called How to Get More Cosmetic Cases. So it was a manual on all these different marketing techniques that doctors could be using that I had worked with my clients on, my doctor clients. And then there were a few like fill in the blank templates and tools that the doctors use. Like I gave them pre-done ads and letters and reports for liposuction or for laser resurfacing or for a bunch of different cosmetic procedures.
So very niche in a particular area. And how have you seen as you've gone? as you move forward now, your own focus change in terms of how much you've niched in a particular market, or to what extent you've kind of gone for wider markets?
Yeah, so I've always followed where my passions are, and for me, my biggest passion is around entrepreneurs, and that's pretty much it. Like one of my friends the other day asked me, he's like, you have this opportunity with Maverick Business Adventures, you could do corporate retreats and so forth. I'm like, yeah, I don't care. I only care about the entrepreneur, and that's the marketplace that we've been focused on, and that's certainly yeah, as I look at it, it's probably after the doctors. That was sort of where I went because my very first product was this instant sales letters product, which gave me the a little bit of that credibility of building out my own web business. I was doing really well, and so it's always been for the small business owner, for the entrepreneur. I've always been attracted to other people that bright people that have smart ideas and want to impact the globe in some way, and I think entrepreneurs do that in the best way possible. So that's always been the market that I've been focused on. The big thing, Roger, that I see happening right now is if we're looking at maybe a few trends and things that are going on. Um, I see that there's that the people that are succeeding, there's only like, I don't know, let's say 3 to 4, maybe 5 really strong sort of competitors in each marketplace who take a bit of the lion's share of what's going on. Like I see that, almost like there's more roll up, there's more consolidation, there's more just winners being more winners, and then the people who have sort of the B, C level content, they're not breaking through.
Mm.
And so, where I see the opportunities for people is to, one, take over your own sort of world, right? So if you look at Red Bull, for a lot of years they still are kind of that king of the energy drinks for the most part, and
Mm.
a lot of people have tried to come in, and there's Rockstar and a couple others, and they've kind of tried to come in and they do okay. So, but there's room for number 2, number 3, and so forth. But if you look at a company like 5 Hour Energy, they came in and really smartly basically took over their whole new category, and it's like energy shots. And I don't know if you guys have those in Bali or Singapore, the 5 Hour Energy. Have you seen that?
Yep. Yep.
So, if you look at that, there's a couple of really smart things about that. One, the name itself is a benefit tied right into it, and there's specificity. Those are 2 of the 5 things that I always think about for big ideas and big hooks. And then, what's more is they've created their own category. So I think the time is right now to create your own category. And so, for me, entrepreneurs, the ones that I'm looking for game-changing, impactful entrepreneurs that are that have massive, I guess, the next generation of leaders. And so if I can segment out that, then all of a sudden I can help create my own sort of category as well inside entrepreneurship.
Yeah, well, I mean that's one of the elements as well around the progression you've made from having, as you say, particular products that might go for particular niches that already exist, to creating a community and identity all of its own. And with Maverick 1000, you've done that to say, look, I actually want to have a group of people. I don't just want to serve. I want to hang out with them. I want to learn from them as well. And where when you've got the right people who've got the right skill sets or thought process behind it, you've got the chance for them all to learn from each other without actually having to copy much of anyone's stuff, especially if they've got their own categories they're creating as well. What if you were to define your picture of what a Maverick entrepreneur is, and also, because you've got your new book coming out as well, how would you sum that up?
Well, I think the easiest way is like if people who are listening and watching that they literally just drew 3 circles that interconnected, and on one circle you had a dollar sign, and another circle we had a happy face, and another circle was just a heart symbol, and where those interconnect is what I call a Maverick entrepreneur. And it's really all about ways to create your own rules and set your own path for making more money, creating more profits easily, and doing it in a way that's fun and creates more joy and happiness for yourself, for your business, for the people that work in your business and your family, and then also that has a lasting impact on the world by giving more. And so that to me is what a Maverick entrepreneur is, and it really just combines those three elements.
Got it. And if you were to look at just the people that you're connecting with at the moment, and talk about one or two of them where you've seen where recently, you've heard a story or you've had someone within your network who has achieved something with the way that things are going at the moment, where they looked at and thought, you know what, that was a pretty smart way or a pretty clever way or just a great way that they've actually made a breakthrough or come up with a new way of doing things. What stories would you relate to everyone around that?
Yeah, there's a lot. Let me think for a moment about it might be an interesting new one. Okay, well, there's two members that actually still have never met each other, which is kind of funny when you hear the story, and they are part of the group. One guy has some rights to pharmaceutical kind of nutraceutical topical agents that are doctor strength and available, not by prescription anymore, but used to be by prescription, I think is, if I have it right, but it's in that realm. So a product like that, and he's been selling a whole lot on Amazon and all over the place, like to the tune right now of about $60,000 a month just on Amazon. And one of the other members who's very good at packaging up content and products, heard about Matt and heard about what he was doing and said, why don't we team up and collaborate here? And you just provide the content and we'll team up and do a big launch for this course and this material and put it out there and then help show people these legitimate new ways of using Amazon as this massive cash machine essentially. And so they teamed up, and I think their launch it wasn't this huge launch. It was maybe, I don't know the exact numbers, but I think it was in the neighborhood of $500,000. And so that never would have happened without them trusting each other's strengths, trusting each other's expertise, and having that that baseline of trust that comes from coming together in an organization like that. So that was really interesting and really powerful to me, that collaboration. So I love that idea of the collaboration because I think you're a fan of this too, obviously based on the wealth dynamics and assessment testing. When you can find someone who has a strength where you don't, it's just kind of magical.
Yeah, and one thing that's very interesting is that we're within the wealth dynamics square. We're always saying that you need to have really kind of you need three legs to the stool. Two legs and the stool is going to fall over. And three legs of the stool often is someone who's very good on the creative side or very good on the systems mechanics side, someone who's very good on the promotion side or very good on the people side. And then there's a third part, which is someone who's very good at the discipline and the numbers, or basically just ensuring the flow of all the detail that's needed. And one thing that's happened in the last couple of years, which has been very interesting, has been how that the third leg, which is around effectively having someone really great at making sure every transaction goes through, every system works, or the system works well. In a way, that third one has turned from what is potentially in the past having to be a person to what today is a platform. And so when you mention something like Amazon, the Amazon is a third leg for those two, where one clearly has a great product, one clearly is good at marketing, and there's really 5 platforms at the moment, which all of them are able to process payment. All of them have millions of people who've already got their details in there, whether it's Apple, whether it's now Facebook, whether it's eBay, whether it's Amazon, or whether it's Google, and where each one of them has that ability to be able to bring millions of people in straight away, which is why the likes of Amazon and Apple are having so many multimillionaires show up, because they're not trying to just sell it off their own webpage where you've got someone who has to pick out their own credit card and go through that whole process. They can just click the one-click buy and they're in already. So have you seen in America, with a lot of people that you're working with, more and more people leveraging off those kind of platforms for their businesses?
Yeah, I definitely see smart people looking at where are additional kind of distribution channels and profit channels for them. And it makes a lot of sense to start thinking about, there's a couple of them out there that I've been really looking at. Certainly Amazon is one of them, and depending on which side that you play on, whether it's physical product side or if you're on the content side selling that, there's a big opportunity in the Kindle marketplace for content, and to use the content that we're working on, getting a lot of content out there that really are great pieces by themselves, but but lead into some of the other things that we're doing. So, you can get very specific and really just super narrow and deep, um, because you have an opportunity to go out there and then, because, you're really dealing with Amazon essentially is a search engine with people that have their one-click ordering turned on. Kindle is a big search engine, like for people that, it's just a big content um, tool that people are going to consume content on. So there's that channel, and then we have one of our members doing really well on eBay still. So eBay is still a channel that shouldn't be forgotten. Obviously, iTunes gets a lot of press, and that's certainly another channel. Once again, if you got content or you got a way of distributing a utility, is a great idea as an app, and then it just lets you use the platform again. And anytime you can use already established platforms, you're tapping into channels that can help grow your business and make it more stable. The other thing, Roger, and I'll mention one last thing on that channels is we have a lot of our Maverick members and people I talk to are looking at international markets as well as another channel, right? So licensing their product, their brand, their content to an international partner and working with them, because it just becomes another revenue stream, just like that.
Absolutely, and Yanik, one of the things that I'm constantly doing is looking at the latest news that's taking place and saying, how do we relate this in a way that we can all use? I've got a couple of slides here, which you'll see come up. There's a bit of a delay, but there's a basic theme around this, and I'd love your comments on some of this right now. I mean, the first slide, which you'll see in a moment, everyone will see in a moment, is the one which is about the Facebook IPO. And while a huge amount of the news 2 weeks ago was Mark Zuckerberg's hoodie, and last week was all about the disaster of their float and so on, I've actually focused at this article here, which is the one where the Facebook IPO has created 150 new millionaires. And the reason I focus at this is that we've all seen what's happened in Silicon Valley when the likes of PayPal, created the Founders Fund, and a whole bunch of the guys out there, the Elon Musk of the world, got their payday from earlier floats, which then gave them the ability to effectively become entrepreneur angel investors, and that has spawned an entirely new group of entrepreneurs who've shown up, and we've now got 850 new potential people out there, which could change the way that people are now investing from the money from the Facebook IPO. And fundamentally what this is a big shift that's taking place between investors, merchant banks, stock markets, into the wealth of entrepreneurs. We have more wealthy entrepreneurs now today, a lot of them in their 20s, than ever in history, and they're all doing something with that money. They're not all going spending on yachts and boats. They're actually doing something to actually build more. So there's this as a backdrop to a question I'm going to ask you in a moment. There's a second one here, which is also part of the backdrop, which is an article that I'm sure you've seen and others would have seen, which is how Pinterest is now worth $1.5 billion. And in the last week, this happened because a Japanese firm came in and put $100 million into them. And Rakuten is the largest e-commerce site. Effectively, it's huge, and it's now looking to build globally. So I thought, right, we'll come into Pinterest. So there's $100 million of Japan money coming into an American company right now. And similarly, this next one, many people would have seen as well, which was, again, more on Yahoo focus, but how Alibaba, Yahoo took a $1 billion stake, and Alibaba is like repaying that back with $7 billion. And while a lot of the story on this is about Yahoo, I think the real story is the fact that you've got this Chinese company, just like the Japanese company can throw $100 million at a company, Alibaba can throw $7 billion out, and it's going to be 14 because that's only half the stakeholding, because Alibaba is going to go listing. And what we're seeing with this, with the first slide on Yahoo or on Facebook, was about how the entrepreneurs in America are the ones who are now collecting the money. And originally, like with the IPO, they collected it from Wall Street. But now, with the likes of Alibaba and with Rakuten, they're actually getting it from Asia. That there's more and more smart entrepreneurs in Asia who are putting money into entrepreneurs in America. And this is a huge shift. This wasn't the case 5-10 years ago. It was the other way around. So this is really showing how now the real solid entrepreneurship taking place on the West Coast has moved its way out to Asia as well. So just on this point, what would you say to people out there who are looking to build their business and who may still think that one of the biggest barriers to growth is access to funding. What would be your thoughts with the backdrop of these kind of headlines as to what where they could be looking or what they should be thinking about?
Yeah, I mean, these are really interesting, just convergences going on. And the idea that you need money to make money or start your business is really it's really tough to swallow today. And I say that for a couple reasons. One is for most people, we're not going to go build $150 million manufacturing facility to build the latest whatever. If you have a physical product that you want to create and that's your idea, there's so many ways out there to do it without putting a whole lot of money into things. Or if you're more of the IP variety and knowledge is your kind of gateway of building your business, then that's even less so. But I'm really excited by that slide you put up, Roger, about the 850 millionaires. That's really interesting because it does start creating its own ecosystem and its own catalyst for investments, and just feeds upon itself, where one group can keep going further and further and further. As far as where to find money right now, there's so many great places. Like what I really love is out there. We didn't mention it, but this idea of crowdfunding via Kickstarter, Indiegogo. There's a lot of other platforms out there, and so if you have a good idea for something right now, you can literally take the idea, shoot a video for it, put some copy together, and start getting backers for your business idea. And you don't even have to give them equity. It's literally just almost like pre-selling whatever you're putting together. And it's a great way to test the market, see what the pulse is of the market. Yeah, there we go. All right, so I beat you to it there, but yeah, I mean that's a perfect example. I mean, $10 million, that's so crazy. It's only getting bigger and bigger. I remember when they had like I think $1 million for an Apple Nano watch, and that's the way that they built their company. It's perfect, really cool example because this company was a cool design firm, and nobody wanted to make their product, and they said, screw it, we're going to go on Kickstarter and do it ourselves. And they had $1 million in pre-orders essentially before they even put it out there. And then what happened was that got its own traction because then they got into the Apple Store for retail once it was built, and they just really went berserk from there. Now that was when Kickstarter was really small. Now it's gotten bigger and bigger, as you can see here, 68,000 backers. I mean that's just wild. The problem with Kickstarter is that they don't let you accept currencies. It's U.S. based, if I'm not mistaken, to be on there, and they also curate the projects. Indiegogo is really the marketplace where they'll let anybody post anything, and they're they seem to be, like we talked about, the handful of people that will dominate a market. I feel like Kickstarter is number one. Indiegogo is probably number two, and then there might be a few people kicking around for number 3 and 4. So you probably won't get as much. Like I don't think Indiegogo has ever processed $10 million in one of their funds, but you can do international funding. And the best part about these platforms is the money will go in escrow. So let's say you don't hit your goal. Maybe you need $20,000 is what you've allocated and budgeted to create your product or do it. Or that will give you enough incentive to do it. Well, if you don't hit your $20,000 goal, all the money goes back to the backers and the people that were putting their money in, which I think is really exciting.
And there's been the big shift in America with this Jobs Act that just went live this last month. Where,
right.
And that does make a big difference because it does mean that small companies can raise millions of dollars now as well without having to go down the public listing route and do it via crowdfunding. So I think this is just going to grow and grow. One of the things that we're launching on this side of the world is something called FundFizz, which is like a Kickstarter for the rest of the world. And whereas Indiegogo is quite focused at like art projects and most of its press is around things like the films they're making, where Kickstarter really got big has been in these kind of like little technology products and so on. And in the likes of places like China, Japan, they have a lot of these. So when we launch FundFizz later this year, is going to be in Chinese and Japanese, in English, or multi-language, multi-currency from the moment it starts. And I know we're just going to be another of the guys that are in there, but it's a very exciting market because it really does bring together not just the money, but in the likes of Kickstarter and Indiegogo, the community of entrepreneurs that are in there, they get in conversation as well. And I'm sure there are as many deals that happen outside of the actual platform through those connections that get made between the people looking for funding, the people funding, and so on, which is what makes these communities so exciting.
Yeah, no, it's very cool, and it's this really is. I feel like this golden era that we're living in, and it's an amazing opportunity. By the way, Roger, I got an idea for you on that funding thing, and I can talk about it later if you want. An
Oh,
idea to
definitely.
make it kind of different, which would be interesting, and tap into the networks of entrepreneurs.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, and I would say this for everyone listening, even though you may not at the moment think you have a project worth going for, just get onto things like Kickstarter, Indiegogo, log in, get a membership going, start looking around, because your time spent invested, playing around in a network like that, as opposed to just hanging out on Facebook, is huge, because you're actually spending your time with people who already are in the investment or in the entrepreneur mindset, and every single one of them are there for the same reason, which is to spot what opportunities are working and what they could learn from. And that's really what it means by being a global company. Even though you might not be able to put on a project in Kickstarter if you're not in America, you certainly can fund the ones that are in there. And I just want to throw a couple more slides out here for my next question to you, Yanik. As well as there being this opportunity for us to all access funds when we need to, there's this big thing that's taking place. When I met up with Peter Diamandis, and he had a chance to say what he thought was the biggest thing coming, he said it was 3D printing. And this is now in the last 6 months just taken off everywhere, where in the past people used to think you had to have information products that were scalable to get around the world, and now with the likes of 3D printers growing and the opportunity people have to actually create their own products, or even have templates for other people's products, or just fundamentally the way that the model by which you use to go global doesn't have to be an information product. It can be products in this way, and while that might still be a year or two before we have a lot of multimillionaires showing up there, you've got the likes of this kind of thing showing up, where there's been news taking place on the app market. We're already hearing about people who do mobile apps for the iPhone and so on. They're already saying that with ITV coming out and with smart TVs coming out, the app market and people making millions doing apps for TVs will be even greater than what's happening with the mobile market right now. And then, of course, with the likes of smart cars, there'll be people who will be app millionaires just making apps for cars, or even making apps that you can use in a car, in a TV, on your mobile. And this is a market that hasn't even started yet, to the extent that you're hearing all the multimillionaires showing up in the way you are with mobile. So, and again, this isn't about just having an information product or even about creating a physical product. This is about just having something. And frankly, an app is nothing more than a smart smart website, the way it's designed, but one that actually works on a particular platform. And the picture there of the Google goggles, of the whole project of actually having wearable tech, is all part and parcel of something that within the next 3 or 4 years, there's a good chance we're going to see a lot of the biggest opportunities and the growth, as we're already seeing in places like Kickstarter, are going to come from people who are getting into these areas and markets, and it's all greenfield right now. So just from that point of view, what would you be saying to people to not restrict themselves in their thinking about the mode or model by which they're packaging their value and getting it out there right now?
This is this is a really interesting, exciting trend when you can not only move bits and bytes like we used to via software, app, content, information, right? That has obviously high margins and low sort of, I don't know, low obstacles to getting to the user because they can just get to it right away via download. Right now, with what you just showed, those 3D printers, actually one of the biggest projects, or one of the bigger ones on Indiegogo before, was a 3D printer, like a kit that people would get as a starter kit. So this 3D printing and this makers market is only going to get bigger and bigger. And now if I can create something tomorrow where I could have it show up in, I don't know, the Netherlands or in Bali, right away, just from somebody downloading that, and they have their own 3D printer at home, or in a in a small local shopping center or something like that. It just changes the dynamics, and it changes the game. So if people can focus on where their leverage points are, and what the multipliers or accelerants are that they have available to them, that's where it gets exciting. And those are the people that I like to work with, and the ones that we can take something small and leverage it all over the place.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just pulling up at the moment the big news in Kickstarter today, which is something called the B9 Creator, and it is one of the first 3D printers that is designed around light. It actually uses light to cure material, and it's so high definition, but actually very low cost. So now they're down to just $1,000 plus for one of these printers. And as you can see, this one just went up, and it's already got 174,000 that's come in for it. And if anyone goes and has a look at this, you'll see just what people are now able to do, and at the price they can achieve it at. It's really quite incredible, because it really does mean you can print out your own shoe, or you can print out your own, your own piece of art. And the Smithsonian has now basically taken every single thing in the Smithsonian, and you can now order it online in miniature replica through a 3D printer. And it's just the speed with which this is now moving and growing is quite incredible.
Yeah. That's wild.
I've got another question for you. I know we're a little short of time, so there's one other thing which I know is dear to your heart that I wanted to for you to cover with everyone, and it is space. It is your big adventures. Here we have Elon Musk, and we've got what's just happened with him with SpaceX. And if anyone doesn't know, Elon Musk is from South Africa. He was actually the inspiration behind Iron Man, as someone who basically was a rich kid who basically was out to do good with his with all his gadgets. And he also is a founder of Tesla Motors, which is one of the coolest electric car companies in the world. I mean, I know that you've, Yanik, as part of your whole concept of really living a life of adventure, have been really interested in the future as well. And you've done all sorts of things in terms of going to zero G, booking into Virgin Galactic. So from that side, how would you summarize your interest in what's going on with entrepreneurs leading this whole move into space at the moment?
It's just kind of breathtaking. I mean, what's going on? I was at the X Prize. You mentioned Peter Diamandis. I was at the X Prize dinner a couple weeks ago, I guess, with Peter and all these different visionaries. About 150 people in the room, like people like James Cameron, the producer or director of Titanic, who just went down to the deepest Pacific Marinera Trench there. And you have all these different people, like a guy I was hanging out with in the lobby bar was telling me about the space elevator that he's building. I'm like, is that something with the nanotechnology? He's like, yeah, absolutely. He's like, it's being built right now. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. So these are the kind of things that are happening right now. And then Peter announced that the new mining company that they're gonna try and mine an asteroid. And I know Naveen Jayan, and he has a moon mining company, and there's just an opportunity for like exponential amounts of incredible wealth from either of those ventures. And it's just this really interesting time when we're pushing the thresholds of what we've thought of as our limitations as a society and as a global population, really. And it's just this really incredible time to see what is the next breakthrough that's going to happen with this exponential technology. And for people that haven't read it, you should check out Peter Diamandis' book Abundance to really get excited about this future and accelerate technology.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't think it's any coincidence that the times in the world when there's been the greatest invention and when there's been the greatest renaissance of culture has been going hand in hand when there's been some great adventure going on as well. I mean, if you look back to the time of the Renaissance and what was happening at that point within Europe, with the traveling, that was taking place out to the New World, and at the same time, what with the connections that were happening with the likes of China at that point, and even the whole basis of the Renaissance of the Medicis going into its history back into Egypt and bringing back all of that information, which then everyone then got hungry about and then wanted to come up with new great ideas. And then the similar thing happened with the way that when America really got kicked off, the gold rush was there, and there was a whole pioneering spirit where there were people out there just extending the possibility of what was possible, what people could achieve, and even if someone wasn't the adventurer going out and doing that, it rubbed off on them as well. And it's almost like what's happening at the moment, knowing there's adventurers amongst us who are kind of heading off into space and trying things that weren't tried before and doing things which basically, from the point of view of a human scale, are pretty outrageous, but believable. And it just makes everyone else think, well, if they can do that, what can I do? And I think that to keep in mind those things rather than thinking, yeah, space is just something for the future, but actually thinking, this is happening right now, and it's happening not with governments driving it, but as always with the entrepreneurs or with the pioneers driving it. And we can hear from them. They're on Twitter. They're sharing their news. Elon Musk has been putting posts up all through today about his SpaceX a Falcon 9 launch. And you can follow this along, and you can become part of it, and then let that rub off into your own views on what you're up to and how much bigger you could be thinking about your own business as well. So I think that, again, bringing this stuff back in it and the way you've done it within your life, and then bringing those same messages into Mavericks, I think is just awesome. So yeah, Yanik, I'm gonna be asking you in a moment, because I know we are short of time, and while it would be brilliant to carry on, I do know that others have kind of like given themselves an hour to be here. So I had something that I promised everyone earlier on I was going to do, which is, again, in the pioneering spirit, tell everyone who's won the prizes. We ran a short story competition. We had a whole bunch of people go online, and if anyone hasn't had a look, you can have a look here. It's our Wealth Dynamics Facebook page, where there's this short story competition link that's on here. And when you click on that link, you come up with a whole bunch of different stories that people have posted that are in here, and you can see people have voted and all the rest of it for this as well. So we said that on this call, we were going to let people know who has won the prizes. So I'm just going to very quickly tell everyone who's won, and then I'm going to come back to you, Yanik, to just get final thoughts from you in terms of what you'd want to leave with everyone as a final thought or final advice. So here we go. And by the way, when we come back to you, I'd also love to just hear, for everyone who's on here, if they'd like to get involved in Marriott 1000, how they could go about doing that, and what the steps would be, and the qualifications to be part of it. All right, so here we go. Personal path, we had everyone who's written their own story in their own personal way. We had a number of different prizes. Here was the third prize. This goes to 5 people. And this was basically going to our Wealth Dynamics Academy. We actually have one that's starting today. We have Topher Morrison in town, and it's already running over the next 4 days. And so obviously you can come along for this next one. And these are the people. They're all from different countries, interestingly enough. We've got Diana Anderson in Australia, Marianne Cantwell, who's just created the most awesome business in England, which is growing at the moment. She has something which is called Free Range Humans, which is fantastic. Rustika Lam, who actually started in New Zealand and now is in Bali, and her child now goes to the Green School, which is pretty coincidental. We've got Treska Botho from South Africa, and we've got Dave Whitefield from Australia, who basically, after taking the Wealth Dynamics test, created a business which is now multi-million, 40 employees, are growing very, very rapidly across Australia. So you can read their stories on the Wealth Dynamics site, but congratulations to those guys for third prize, and we'll be getting in contact with you. And here's second prize. Out of everyone who joined, we had about 80 people join, and a big thank you to everyone for joining, because there was a lot of great people in there. And we judged everything based on votes is one category, where you got up to 10 points, on the quality of your writing, where you can get up to another 10 points, and then on the actual results you got that you wrote about, which you get another 10 points. So a total of 30 points, and that's how we ended up judging. We had a group of judges that came in and helped me to go through this. So second prize, which is a big one, a full week, Wealth Dynamics Masters, which is taking your business plan, breaking it down, having a group of mentors, building it back up again. David Anthony from Singapore, Amanda Horsberg from Thailand, and Emma Ponsonby from London. All 3 of them, since taking Wealth Dynamics, have built sizable companies, which are all global and which are all just creating incredible results right now. So they're going to have a chance to come and actually build their business to the next level. But congratulations to them on second prize. And here we go for the first prize, of all places. This is Richard Alderson from India, and Richard, you can see here with Muhammad Yunus, his whole inspiration has been on social entrepreneurship. He set up Unlimited India, which basically is now one of the leading entrepreneur funds for social entrepreneurs. He's used Wealth Dynamics, and he's now even creating a Wealth Dynamics for social entrepreneurs as well. And if you read his story, it's very, very inspiring in terms of how he's grown, how he's developed and evolved. And by coincidence, it actually was Richard who actually put me in contact with you, Yanik, as well. And now here he is coming in.
Well, there are no coincidences, but but I'm a big fan of Richard's, and I love what he's doing and what he did in India. So that's great. Congratulations to him.
That's brilliant. Very, very cool. Guys, if you want to go have a look at the site and read the stories, go ahead and do that. If you want to come along for the fast forward tours, I know Yanik is trying to get himself to Miami, so hopefully that can happen. But here's all the list of information on that site. And if you want to, basically be there at the cutting edge when we've got our live webinars and so on, come and join up on our Platinum Club, which is all on that website as well. So it's all there. And there's a free download of the book and the new book coming to you as well there. So Yanik, so that's my little piece on the winners and everything, and it's great to know there's awesome people out there listening to this call, and people out there who are listening to you and me right now, and they're going to go back and apply some of what they're hearing here to their own business. What would you share as kind of final words of advice for everyone here with regards to what they could take away from your experience or from the things that you're seeing in the world right now into their own business.
What I'm really seeing where people can really accelerate is adding their own spin and their own kind of just unique personality to what they're doing with their businesses. And I think more than ever, consumers and subscribers and customers are looking for something authentic, genuine that they can get excited about and kind of be a part of. And if you can give them that, and if you can also create a bigger mission for what they can be a part of, I think you're gonna do extremely well.
It's fantastic. If there were people on this call who were interested in becoming part of Maverick 1000 and getting hold of everything that you talk about, what's the best way for them to do that?
Roger he's just become one of our new Maverick 1000 members, and the whole idea is to bring 1000 game changers, people that are playing at a big level, people that are really out to make an impact on the planet, to create this global network that we all want to help each other with their biggest business goals, and at the same time have some increased joy and happiness and some fun in the process, and that big impact. And so the qualifications are at least $1 million plus business. Typically, it's in the 3 to 4 range to about 30 to 40. They're all privately held. Most of the companies are using something that they have a lot of leverage around. So whether it's technology, whether it's something digital, they're in the digital space or mobile space, or they want to take their existing business and leverage it using technology or digital or mobile. So those are probably the best ones. And the information is at maverick1000.com, where, like I said, we're looking for just a select group of people that are part of this. The other thing that if people want to check out what I'm doing, you mentioned my new book. It's a Maverick Startup, which is available anywhere, Amazon, Barnes & Noble. It's 11 X factors that I've used to bootstrap from 0 to 6 and 7 figures and beyond. And so it's not just build a business plan. I don't think business plan is even mentioned in here. So these are just other ways of building that out. And what I mentioned before, that personality is one of those X factors, and talks about that.
Great. Well, Yanik, look, thanks very, very much for getting on the call and being part of it. And while it was a late start, the value of what you brought and what we've kind of packed into this last 40 minutes has been awesome. So thanks a lot for that. And I'll be seeing you when I come out to the US.
Yeah, I want to make it down to Miami, and then I want to make it up to the listeners who come into this. And if you want, Roger, I'll email you a special bonus that we can hand out to everyone. It's not a promotional piece or anything, but it's something that we actually charge money for, and I'll figure out what it is, but it'll be something cool.
Fantastic. Very good. Okay, thanks very much, Yanik. Thanks everyone also for being on this call. We're about to close the call right now, and one final time, congratulations to all of our winners, and a big thanks to everyone who entered into our competition, because there's a huge amount of inspiring stories in there. So thanks very much to everyone. Thanks also to Suraj for just organizing this and getting it all together. That's been brilliant too. We are going to have this as a recording. We'll upload it. We'll give you all the links to it as well, so you can come back to it in the future as well. All right, thanks again, Yanik, and we'll be catching up again soon.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.